Honored to introduce to you Gabriel Engel, the CEO of Rocket.Chat. So Gabriel, up to you then.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name is Gabriel Engel, founder, CEO of Rocket.Chat. And I'm so honored to be invited to be presented today. We'll see, we have a very intertwined history with Meteor. And I think one cannot overestimate like the impact that Meteor had in our history and building the company and the products. So let me share my screen. I'll talk a little bit. I want to present a little bit about our story and where we are today and how important and how proud we are to have used Meteor all this time. And can you guys see screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, I don't know why it keeps the part on top. Okay, cool. Let me get my. So I will talk about the history of Rocket.Chat, but my history with Meteor goes way, way beyond Rocket.Chat. I still have on my LinkedIn one of the volunteering works that was very proud of and very honored to be as a Meteor captain on the very beginning of the Meteor history when we were like building the community and building the ecosystem. I learned a lot from the efforts and initiatives of Meteor, just by organizing the global meetups and organizing live talks, and we were so enthusiastic about the technology that we were spreader, and we'll do events in our own office much before Rocket.Chat just to tell people about Meteor, and then trying to get developers to get to know the platform and use it because how much we loved it. So that's why later when we decided to build Rocket.Chat, which was a communication system, and it was the first time that we really needed a real-time data stream between users that were engaging with that application. We're like, what are we going to use to build that? And that's why Meteor was our first, from the very beginning, the first choice on how to do it. If you don't know Rocket.Chat, it's maybe the mix between a live chat widget, a way for you to talk to your customers. So that's actually the primary goal of the project. We were building websites, and then people were asking a way to talk to their customers on their website, and we needed to build that little pop-up widget on the website. But we also wanted people on the other side to be able to talk and have a conversation, and we were very inspired by we were Slack users at the time, and say like, how can we make the experience of Slack, but also the experience of the live chat widget? And for us, Meteor made a lot of sense. It was the best way for us to have the reactivity on the clients. That there was a lot of technology that we didn't know exactly how to build. They were using the Meteor platform, the framework, would immediately have those out of the box and could concentrate on building the functionality rather than trying to get the pumps and wiring the back end. And we clearly very soon understood that the power of open source to build such a tool, because we were a small team at that time. Maybe it was me and 3 developers in the office building another system, another CRM. And when trying to build something very challenging, I know all developers we know far too well, using open source libraries, using open source frameworks, and getting the help from the community is the best way for you to evolve and build a good product. So we quickly understood from the Meteor community, there are so many packages, so many people willing to help, that the best way to have a big idea to build something great was to build it as an open source project. And so that was the beginning of Rocket.Chat. We built it, but it took us a long time before we actually published as an open source, because we were trying to decide what to do, how to do it. And again, then there was something from the Meteor community that took us, move us away from the comfort zone and from just waiting. We were participating on the Meteor forums, and someone, Tim Brandy, just posted that he was also making Slack, an open source version of Slack, and inviting people to help. And when we saw there was like 7,000 people who have looked at that thread, and a lot of replies, people offering to help. And we learned that sometimes if you wait too much for the right time to publish your product, to publish your project, you might miss the opportunity, you might miss the boat. So I think I'm not going to remember who to attribute the praise, but if you're not, something like this, if you're not embarrassed about the product that you're publishing, about the product that you're making, putting out there, if there's nothing to be ashamed, then maybe you have waited too long, right? You should always, if you are, you know that you always can do something better, you can always improve. But the earlier you start to get the real world experience and getting people to use your product and give feedback, the better. So this one, and again, Meteor helped us to build the initial version of the product, and then helped us to see that if you don't publish your idea fast enough, other people will. There's far too many people in the world building products and startups that no idea is going to be safe for too long. So at that time, we offered like to make a competition, because you already had the product, start building it. I got all the people in the office and told them, look, let's get Red Bulls and pizzas, and let's turn the chat script that we built, didn't have a name yet, into what became Rocket.Chat. And we published back into the Meteor forums saying, look, this is what we built. We have a version of Slack as well, open source, with all those live chat features. And from the Meteor community, that was the only marketing that we've done, was share with the Meteor community. You can see the almost like a little bit more than 24 hours later, someone published on Hacker News, and from Hacker News, someone published on Product Hunts, and there was a boom, like instant success of people downloading, trying the product, giving us feedback. And you could see the beauty of open source, because people, although the product has a lot of like bugs and imperfections, people were being very supportive and trying to help us to build a better platform. And the cool thing is that when people were quickly jump to test, we already building a Electron app, because with the help of the Meteor community and the package that will allow us to do this. We very quickly had a Meteor a web application. Was a hybrid application, but it was enough for people to see what how we were going. But also the interesting thing that happened is that when we published, we knew that we were publishing something that was not completely ready, right? It was an alpha version of a project. So all that people entering our demo server and trying it out just proved that we were right about being wrong. We knew that there was a lot to improve on the product. It was not yet good enough, but that was a good starting point. And the cool thing is that community started to help us. They started to understand some of the limitations that by just using Meteor out of the box to build a prototype, we have it didn't scale as you wanted. For instance, one of the initial things that we learned about was how heavy the whole merge box could be if you really overuse it to render the whole screen. So the more clients and the more people are connecting, we're having like thousands of connecting people. If you didn't do it properly, and you didn't do your research about reusing queries, using the proper key for queries so they could be shared different clients, you'd end up like using a lot of CPU and memory to handle all those connections. So, and that's something that we started to learn in how to use and actually try to bypass and use other things that were not the merge box, and you only use the merge box for specific things that were shared about clients who are connected. So we were able to overcome some of those limitations with the help of the Meteor community and the help of being able to look at the code base and understand how it was working. And we were able to publish quickly mobile apps, and then got the community really excited that it was not just a web application, but it started to have quickly the Electron, the desktop app, and the mobile app. And people really liked it. The project started to be very popular on GitHub, on StackShare, even Heroku. People were downloading it, became one of the feature buttons. And we saw the product being used all over the world, like from the Bernie Sanders campaign, from like Citibank, from even the Brazilian space agency, our version of NASA. And so you say there was like this Brazilian rocket being used by the Brazilian space agents that were building the real rockets. And realized we were onto something. We realized that the reason why it was becoming really popular, and one of the things that I always try to convince people to take as a consideration, it's the power of open source. So what we realized that we were building Rocket.Chat, we thought we were building the WordPress of chats, where the most important thing was the licensing, allowing people to customize, extend, and do everything with the chat, but also owning their data. We saw like the massive adoption of JavaScript, how building containers make it a lot easier to deploy Rocket.Chat or any Meteor project than just using FTP to a server. You have to configure that server, and all the other services like Galaxy popping up and making it easy for people to deploy the Java.js, Node.js systems, the packaging system that allowed people to extend the project, allowing to do them white label. And we even created our own cloud hosting as being one of the business model. So then again, Meteor had another impact in our lives, because once the Meteor team realized how popular the project was becoming and how the community was getting around it, they invited us to participate and be a keynote speaker in one of the Meteor DevShops back there in San Francisco. And then that pushed me out of my comfort zone again, because we were like a small team in Porto Alegre, starting to get some visibility, starting to get a lot of people to use it, but still an open source project. We were not making any money out of it. But then we just said, like, come on, come to San Francisco. Meet a lot of people, be able to talk about your project for everybody. And I was like, oh God, like I already have so many things to do on my paying job that the customers were paying us, plus the open source project, and I have to be away for a while. I have a son that was just born, so I have a baby at home, and I was like, well, I think sometimes you have to take the chance, give the chance to be lucky and for good things to happen, right? Not just keep waiting for them. And I realized, okay, maybe going to San Francisco, meeting the Meteor guys, meeting all the open source community, we have an impact. And that was really what happened. It's me giving a talk at the Meteor DevShop developers, like the conference, in their office in San Francisco. And they introduced me to a whole world of open source. We ended up going to the GitHub universe, like meeting a lot of developers around the world, like when GitHub, like getting this idea being the social coding. And I was spreading the word and trying to get Rocket.Chat written in any place I had a chance to. I would just like put our names there, end up getting and meeting the guys from MongoDB, presenting them what we were doing. And then they even end up writing, allowing us to put a testimonial about the MongoDB, how we're using MongoDB on Rocket.Chat, which gave us even further visibility. And here's an interesting story, because we almost didn't get this, because we're talking about MongoDB 3.2 at that point. And they said, like, oh, we're launching MongoDB 3.2. You guys wanna give a testimonial? And there was a lot of features of MongoDB 3.2 that we wanted to use. But I told him, look, unfortunately, we don't use MongoDB 3.2 yet. And then he was like, why not? It's like, because Meteor have not updated the drivers. They're still working on updating the drivers. So we couldn't use the MongoDB, the latest version of MongoDB yet. But luckily enough, we expressed everything we wanted to do with the version 3.2 well enough. Then he was like, okay, let's pretend we are a few weeks in the future. you guys are already using MongoDB. What did you say? And then we wrote a testimonial, and the Meteor team fast enough, quickly enough, ended up updating the driver so you could use that version of MongoDB. But we were it became such an impact and part of Rocket.Chat that we even started a way of recruiting people to work on Rocket.Chat. We would give Meteor workshops here in Brazil, sometimes online. People would come actually sometimes from other states to participate. And we would actually have a whole, still if you go to my slides.com, you'd see there's a Meteor workshop slides teaching people how to build a chat application using Meteor. And I think that's very powerful when you have a community and a framework that allows you to not just focus on what you need to do and the features and the product and the MVP of what you're trying to build, rather than just focusing on having to get the infrastructure together. We end up the community growing. I'm trying to go fast because it's to allow time for questions. We end up having a lot of different communities using Rocket.Chat, even sending us crypto as donations. Like this one, they sent us like $25,000 so you could continue and have an interest in building Rocket.Chat. And suddenly when Docker container, the DockerCon happened and they started to publish what are the most used containers, Rocket.Chat already appeared as one of the most used downloaded containers on their directory. And you started to see Rocket.Chat popping up like in IBM and like conferences, people using Rocket.Chat to do the chat ops. And even Heroku end up putting our logo as one of the most used apps in Heroku for a long time, end up making to their banner on the front page. And my hope that this whole time, I really got so impressed with the power of the community that it imprinted on Rocket.Chat the need to build a community around an open source project and around a successful commercial project as well. And that became my mission. So we hear the guests from Meteor, not just the framework, but I have to say that we learned a lot about how using the power of a community and the power of an ecosystem of building Rocket.Chat. We end up being able to raise throughout these years, like sooner after that, about having that exposure Meteor in San Francisco. We receive a lot of offers. We end up raising a seed round and some subsequent rounds. Today, we are close to $30 million in funding round, and very focused always in keeping the project open source, growing the community, and experimenting with different business models with SaaS, different a marketplace to commercialize plugins and extensions and apps, enterprise license for self-hosting, and this is helping us to build a successful commercial open source project. Today, this is a bit updated already. The team is around 160 people. We are spread all over the world. A lot of the team, a big portion of the team is here in Brazil, where we all started. But we learned how to build a decentralized company using Rocket.Chat to work with our colleagues. We try to meet once a year. Next week, it's going to be our first summit after the pandemic, the first time that we will be able to meet in person. And actually, I think more than half of the company are going to be meeting for the first time, people that I haven't seen. And I think next time we will probably try to invite more people from the community. This time was still like trying to organize, getting used to get a large group together. But the previous events, we always brought people from the community to participate in events. And I think next time we will try to get some people from the community. And it would be really awesome maybe to reciprocate and bring some people from the Meteor community to participate at our events. Every year we're getting more and more users. It's an accelerating growth of the team. It's close now, I think, to 20 million people registered on all those servers. that have deployed. They report back sometimes the number of rights to users. For open source companies or startups out there, this is the flywheel that I like to share. For me, it's very important for companies to understand when they're trying to build an open source platform, which is how those three pillars about the community, your customers, and the marketplace can self-reinforce and potentialize the impact of each other. So we see in Rocket.Chat that we early understood the bigger we build the community around the open source and people started using and trying and talking about it, it generated more leads, it created more awareness, it brought us more customers and people who wanted to start paying. Those people that start paying increased our ability to invest back in the product, to make the product better, to grow the functionality and improve the product. So I end up growing the community because you do have a better product. On the same time, when you build a marketplace, you want the community to be economically vibrant and viable, so they could actually also make money out of Rocket.Chat. And you can see that on Atlassian marketplace, on the WordPress marketplace. I think any open source project, if you want to be really successful and go beyond just a car company, you need to build something where your community can also gain from participating. So when you build a marketplace, we've got more contributors because you're building, seeing a way to publish what you're building or even charge for the building. This is the part that we are still early days, but we are very focused. We have a whole team just on the apps engine to empower more the apps what they can do inside Rocket.Chat. And the better the marketplace, it calls for more developers to participate, but also it creates more functionality for our customers and for the community. So it makes the whole platform a lot more useful, more powerful. And the more customers, there's more demand for apps on the marketplace, and more people can make money, and it brings more developers to the community. So this is, I guess, a very strong flywheel, where each pillar reinforce the other in a way that creates our growth flywheel. And the way we see open source, and sometimes companies and other entrepreneurs or founders, they ask me like how the open source model works, and you should try to explain the open source. The community edition, they're going to be free forever. It's a way for us to have this first experience for people to use the product, customize, but it's the beginning of a journey where they become part of this ecosystem. They can buy things from the marketplace, they can buy things from us, hosting, or from other companies, and eventually become part of our SaaS, our enterprise version, or even buying professional services from us. So the open source, open core business model, it's a very efficient way of building not just a pipeline, but an innovation engine and a growth flywheel that I showed you guys. And I'm always happy to talk about. So if there's any other open source entrepreneurs or founders out there, please feel free to reach out to have a conversation. Today, we have like companies all around the world using Rocket.Chat. We believe that using the open source, we can remove this mesh of system that companies use and replace it on a single chat platform to talk to anyone outside the organization, inside the organization, and even talking to other companies. We love open source, so we're starting to embed the Matrix protocol into Rocket.Chat, so Rocket.Chat can talk to other open source chat servers that are capable of speaking the Matrix protocol. We believe that the whole ecosystem is stronger if all those we stop trying to build different chat systems that work only on their closed silos. We do believe on opening and interconnectivity. So we are adopting a protocol that we think is going to be the most successful for chat applications to cooperate. And we invite anyone that is building communication systems or real-time communication systems, they want to have interoperability of others, to also take a look on the Matrix protocol. Now, just talking about past and present, we did a few times thought about leaving Meteor, and then we have had in the past, for instance, when I talked about what we wanted to use the new MongoDB and you were prevented from doing so, or sometimes the whole complexity of adding a package, everything needed to be published to Atmosphere was just making a nightmare to maintain. We were the maintainers of a few Atmosphere packages. You guys saw how we were having problems in the past on trying to make the whole Blaze to perform and to do well. And so what I think that is very important about Meteor and the Meteor community is this notion that it's a work in progress, right? That you can always improve, and you don't need to be opinionated and to force people to choose and to do it just specific. I think when Meteor started, because it was so new and different from anything else, and to have all those components working well, it was very opinionated. You needed to use a specific structure, a specific UI, a specific packaging system. As it matured and realized there was more on another project and other open source projects getting better in what they did, I think it was a very wise decision for Meteor to like we are embracing the Matrix protocol, to embrace NPM, to embrace React.js, to embrace TypeScript, and realize like we don't need to think that our version is the best of everything. And having said that, there are stuff that is still we would love to see happening. For instance, like being able to let go of fibers and use promises everywhere is something that we are changing our whole system. I know that there's work on the way. I was talking to my CTO this morning, and it is something that is coming. Like I said, Meteor seems to always understand what the community needs and where the things are going, and be and move in the right direction. So I'm happy to see that the work is on the way. Another thing is add MongoDB change streams and supports. We had to build one ourselves when we were doing MongoDB on large scale, and you need to do charting. The only way to get the reactivity to work is actually using change stream, and is the way that MongoDB recommends you to do reactivity. So some work on that, and building more on microservices. We end up building some of those components where whenever you can, you try to contribute things back. We have build things on the Meteor contributions back to the Meteor in the past, but that's the areas where we see in the future. And in one way, I would love to say thank you. In many ways, thank you to the Meteor community. It allowed us to grow Rocket.Chat to what it is today, a successful open core project, and allowed us to focus in the functionality and quickly building what we wanted to show our users. And it taught us how to build a thriving community and a thriving company using open source. And if anyone wants to talk any about those topics, I'm happy to have a conversation. And that's why we love Meteor, and that's why our journey together has been quite a successful one.